Hi, Brady.
Hi.
How are you? Welcome.
Good.
Have a seat, please.
Thank you.
So my name is Beto Anaya. We talked on the phone earlier this week. I'm the Director of Human Resources here at Anaya Enterprises. And I thank you in advance for coming in. I think you had a pretty good flight. You got in here today okay?
Yeah, it's nice to put a face with a name. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for the opportunity. We just came, from Oklahoma, and we got out before the storm, so there were no delays.
Oh,
It's
good,
always
good. Well, considering the bad weather out there, I'm glad you made it. And so we're going to talk today about the position that we talked about on the phone. It's a position that we have open. It's a national account manager. This role, the person responsible in this role is responsible for national accounts like Walmart, Kroger, and Target, with the objective of hitting a sales target or a goal, and also managing the spend within a budget is allowed. Basically a fund that you have to manage.
Okay.
But beyond that, any other questions you have right now before we get started on the
I
interview?
don't have anything, no.
You're good, okay. Then if you don't mind, we'll get started in the interview. I have your resume here. Thank you for sending me that. And looking at it, I wanted to first start, maybe if you could tell me a little bit about yourself and your career path, a little bit of your history, and then I also see here that you went to USAO for your bachelor's degree. So maybe you can tell me about, what was the best thing about attending that school, and tell me something about yourself that maybe I can't see here on the resume.
Okay. Well, like you said, I went to USAO for my bachelor's degree. It's a very small liberal arts college in a small town in Oklahoma called Chickasha. I very much enjoyed the small class sizes. It allowed you to get to know your professors and allowed them to get to know you. Due to the small class sizes, they would often teach more than one class, so you were able to develop meaningful relationships with them.
Okay.
Due to these relationships, I was able to get an internship during my senior year of college, and that led to my full-time position at the same company.
Oh, wow.
And so basically, I've been working at this company since before I graduated college.
Oh, wow. Okay, good.
Something that's not in there is that the reason I chose USAO was to play baseball, and I was injured my freshman year, so I decided to call it quits. But I'm still a fan, and I've been to 20 out of 30 baseball stadiums, with 4 more scheduled this year.
20 out of 30 stadiums.
Yes, sir.
I've only been to Minute Maid, Fenway, and briefly in Chicago. I can't imagine being at all of them. That's so you
Well,
must
you
be a
hit
really
2
good
of the
fan.
nice ones.
Oh, really? Okay. Fenway was nice. I like that one. Well, that's very interesting. I wish you luck in hitting your next 4 for this year.
Thank you.
So, let me see. I see you've been with your current employer for a little over 5 years. Maybe can you tell me a little bit about why you're planning on leaving? What leads you to be here with us and interviewing?
The biggest issue with my employer is that I've reached my ceiling. There's no upward mobility for me anymore.
Okay.
Another issue is that when I took the job, I was told that I'd be traveling 25 to 50% of the time, and I'm really lucky to travel once a year. I like what I do. I enjoy dealing with the people, but I would like to travel more, and I would like to have some upward mobility.
Okay. Understandably so. Yeah. We all want to have a career in front of us, right? So that makes sense. Tell me about a situation where you didn't get along with a supervisor. If you could be maybe specific about what happened and how you handled that.
Well, I've always been fortunate enough to have good supervisors that I always got along with. The only times there were any disagreements were maybe over how to handle a certain customer, or maybe even just how to handle any situation. The people I had the most trouble getting along with would be the sales managers that interfaced with the customers on our behalf sometimes. They wouldn't understand that we could be working on 10 projects and they would need results immediately, and it's not always possible. And so they were the difficult ones.
So it sounds like you've always had pretty good relationship with managers, and brought up a good point about maybe co-workers. Can you tell me about a situation where maybe you had difficulty dealing with somebody that was within your department or outside your department, but people that you didn't report to, just your co-workers?
Well, usually it's easy to get along with your coworkers, and And for the most part, the ones that I would work with day in, day out, there's no issues. But these sales managers that you don't see, a lot of times they, like I said, they think they're the only ones that we're working for. And we, you know, if they are the only ones we're working for at the time, it's not a problem. But if we've got 10 projects going, and it's usually not a problem then unless 2 or 3 of those guys are hollering at us. And so what we would do is you kind of get an idea which ones of these guys are going to be that way, and
so you kind of prioritize for that.
Yeah, and you can deal with them before anything comes up.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Let's why don't you tell me about maybe your greatest strengths? What do you think are your greatest assets?
Well, since a lot of my job is interfacing with customers face to face, I'm very good at developing relationships and meaningful relationships very quickly. That's very important with the customers, especially since we're working for them and we need their business. I'm very goal oriented, and I always try to meet deadlines, and I'm almost always successful with that. And I'm also very detailed oriented and very hardworking.
Okay, good, thank you. What would you say now on the opposite end? What would you say your areas of opportunity are, or maybe some areas that you think you feel you need to improve on?
Well, like, nobody likes to answer this question, but maybe relating back to my previous statement where I said that I'm very details oriented. Sometimes you can lose focus of the bigger picture if you're doing that. And so I have to remind myself to take a step back every now and then to make sure that I'm not losing sight of the bigger picture. But I would say that's probably where I struggle the most.
Okay, to avoid analysis paralysis, right?
Right.
Okay, good, thank you. Now, tell me about a situation where you were part of a big project that maybe failed or didn't go the way it needed to go. You know, how did you handle that?
Well, most of the projects that we had, failure doesn't mean we don't produce. It just means that we produce late. And so that doesn't happen often, but like I mentioned, sometimes it happens where we've got 10 projects going and we've got to manage those. And the best thing you can do is prioritize and, you know, hope that you can satisfy most everyone instead of everyone.
Okay.
The other thing is, sometimes we would have construction issues where we couldn't perform due to those construction issues. And in those cases, we just had to do our best to make the customer understand why.
Okay. Okay. So a little communication to the customer. I like that. And then I have one more last question. What would you say, or why do you think you would be a good fit for this particular role in this company?
Well, like I mentioned, I am very good at developing relationships. That seems very important from a sales manager. I very much enjoy traveling, even just for business, as you might be able to tell. Goal-oriented. I like to exceed expectations, both from my managers and the expectations I place on myself. So I think all those would lead me to be the right candidate for you.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think that's all the questions that I had time to ask for. Is there any particular questions you'd like to ask me?
Well, what is your favorite part of working at this company?
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. I particularly enjoy this company. Specifically, what I like is the fact that it's a 100-year company, and we've developed pretty strong brands that the consumer wants and likes. So it makes it a little easier to sell a product. But more importantly, I think the entrepreneurial culture that has been built here in this company, where you feel like you're basically managing your own business within certain guidelines. You know, you have a lot of flexibility to do what's right for the company and what's right for your customers and for your role. So that to me, I find it the most important to me.
What portion of my time would I be spent traveling, and what portion would I be spent in the office?
Oh, good question. Yeah, for this role, because you're managing Walmart and Kroger and Target, you know, all these major customers are in different geographic areas. So, you know, a lot of travel to Bentonville, Arkansas, a lot of travel to Minneapolis, and for Target, and a lot of travel to Ohio for Kroger. So I would say it's going to vary, maybe about 30 to 40% travel. And sometimes seasonality might be a little bit more than others, but I think So let's say 40%.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I think that's all I've got.
You're good, okay. Well, thank you again for your time. Thank you for coming in the storm. I have a few other interviews, and you should be hearing from me. We should be done by Friday, so early next week, I will give you a call and let you know what the next step is in the interview process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.